Good afternoon. I'm Simran Sandhu. I work for Citco Fund Services. You've heard from us a few times today. A brief background on myself. I work in product for Citco Institutional Services. Perhaps a plug for institutional services as well. That's the newest line of business for Citco. We launched it in 2019. This is the line of business that services clients that are institutions, which would be endowments or sovereigns, as well as the family office segment. The collaboration that we are doing today with the IvyFON Family Office Network is really to look at the family office segment. We do service clients today, but they're legacy clients. It's the fastest growing segment with 6 trillion in assets. So we're trying to see how do we service these clients better? Should we be servicing in a different manner? What are the products? What's the tech stack that this segment needs? Today, I'll be sharing with you a product that we conceived for our fund-to-fund clients, and we do think it has applicability and use in the family office segment as well, especially if the family office is allocating out to funds, be it hedge funds or private equity funds. I will run through some slides here. Okay, perfect, you guys have it. So the product is called Citco Document Intelligence. I'll talk to you about the pain point that we're noticing that clients experience. Could we move on to the next slide, please? So on average, an allocator into a fund receives about 2,000 documents. Now, if you're a bigger allocator, like some of the endowment and sovereign clients we have, these documents, we're talking about 25,000 documents a year. And the problem that we are seeing is a lot of GPs are still self-administered. So there's this problem of not only these documents are coming to you in a PDF format in an email, but in a lot of cases, there is no harmonization of how these formats look like. So the problem gets compounded further. There are no standards that exist today. Perhaps there will be standards today, and we are seeing upcoming regulation around it. But there are no standards in terms of presenting the data out to the investors. So some of the pain points that we have highlighted here are what we are seeing our clients in the fund-to-fund space are experiencing. Of course, it's expensive to get the data out of the documents, right? You do need the data, which is the valuation. How do you mark your investment? How are you getting your capital calls? How do you know when to make a subscription or a redemption or a distribution that you're getting? All that information is embedded in a PDF today. Moving on to the next slide. So we did some research, and the research showed us that clients are looking for one solution that can digitize their documents and give them the data that's embedded in those documents. Not a solution for invoice, not a separate solution for private capital funds or a hedge fund, one solution that can do it all. So clients are looking for something that'll capture these documents. Most of them come in the form of an email, get the data off of those documents to do the information extraction for them, and then get them the richer data insights as well. So my colleague yesterday spoke to this point of fee verification and carry verification. What we realized on our side, in order for us to do that validation and its independent calculation, you do need a richer set of data coming off of these documents. So we're seeing our clients ask for, can you get me more data points besides just the evaluation and the transaction type data types? And of course, I think everybody wants to get to the document and the data in a pinch. How do you quickly discover the document to get to that price, to get to that capital call quickly? You don't want this embedded somewhere and hard to find. And of course, if you're running QuickBooks or an accounting system in-house, you want to be able to put the data quickly into the downstream systems. Moving on to the next slide. So what we have created, and the last session was perfect for this. However, I don't have the word AI here because I think it's AI washing in a lot of cases. But our solution very much is we will capture your documents. We will extract the data from those documents, and then we'll file those documents for you to discover easily. So looking at this workflow that we have here essentially walks you through that. An email comes in, we'll capture that email and all the documents embedded in it. will categorize or index those documents. What that means is if it's a PCAP, we'll label it as a PCAP. If it's a hedge fund statement, we'll label it as such. So you can easily categorize and find those documents. Information extraction. So at the minimum level, we'll do the basic extraction for you. Who's the manager? If you have an identifier, we'll append the identifier to that document. Validation. AI, I think AI is fantastic based on some of the use cases we have run, and especially with this product. AI is not sentient, so it cannot just validate the information it's extracted on its own. So you do need human in the loop today to validate what AI has done. Moving on, filing of the document and the metadata that's associated with it. That's, sorry, could we toggle back to the previous slide? So the fifth step there is filing of the document and the data that's embedded in that document. And finally, the delivery. The delivery of this today, we have 3 channels. The sophisticated clients that we have can API the data and the document into their environment. Some clients do ask us to FTP my document and my data, or SFTP the data. And the last channel we have is the good old, give me a folder tree, very similar to a Dropbox or Google folders that we have. Just file my documents away in a format that makes sense to me. Moving on to the next slide. For the technical users in the audience, this is like the technical workflow that walks you through in terms of where's the information coming from, how does it get extracted, and then how do we deliver it in the end to the clients. But essentially very similar to the previous slide, we'll do the document capture for you, we'll do the information extraction of that document, and then file it away for you. Moving on to the next slide. So this is a case study that we put together for one of our clients, which will really bring this problem, the pervasive paper trail problem in privates to light. So this client is an endowment client getting about 25,000 documents annually. So certainly it's an unruly problem. How do you keep your documents in order? So what we did for them is we did the capture for them, we filed the documents for them, and we labeled them perfectly. And then they API those documents into their own environment, so they have the labels attached to it perfectly. It's a PCAP, they know it's a PCAP. The PCAP is coming from a GP named A, and it'll tell you what's the identifier. So if they want to bring it into their own data warehouse, they can easily bring it in. And we give them those metadata sets as well. And for some of our clients, just to build on this problem set, we do go a little further and also do the data extraction for the accounting information, so they can get that accounting data set to bring into their accounting system directly. Moving on to the next slide. So these are the delivery channels we talked about, but before we go into the services and what are the service tiers that we offer, I do want to check if John is online and we can do a brief demo of this technology.
I am here, Simran, yeah, so if you want to go ahead with the demo, I can do it now.
Perfect, I think this is a good time.
Okay, I'm going to take over the screen share. Okay, is that coming through okay now?
Yeah, your screen.
Okay, brilliant. So if we think about the flow that Simran just showed, what we're seeing here is step 4. So at this point, we've ingested the document, used our AI tool to categorize the document, and extracted certain data from that document based on the categorization. And this is where, if I'm a Citco analyst and my job is on a daily basis to log in and check what has been extracted from the document is correct against the document, this is where I would log in. So we have some basic info here. We get the document name, we get the client name. Obviously it just says demo here, but it will be relevant to the client. What's the document type, delivery priority, our status, which just lets us know how far along the verification process are we, and an uploaded data. So when was this document brought into my work queue? I can filter by dates, and I can also create my own custom work queue based on any of these variables here or any of the variables on the document. So if you think about it, there's thousands of documents coming in on a weekly, monthly basis. It's too much if I have to just see every single one of them. So maybe I only work on certain document types, only certain funds, only certain priorities. I can set up a work queue that just shows my relevant work to me. And when I come in on a daily basis, I'm just saying what I need to see to get through my verification. So we want to look how we actually verify a document. We can just click into one here. And what we have here on the right is the document itself. So this is an actual real document that we have put through the AI tools. So everything you're seeing here on the left is proper data that we have extracted. This is not just some kind of template or stale data. So our document is here on the right, so it just gives the verifier obviously the context they need to check, is that data actually correct on the left? And we can pop the document out, move it over to another screen, we can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can pan around, we can copy and paste from the document. Yeah, so we have several kind of quality of life improvements there as well. So the verification process is very simple. You're just saying, okay, is this document type correct? And what you're seeing here, all of these fields are totally configurable on a document by document basis and a client by client basis. So you, the client, would decide how many fields do I want to extract from each document type. Maybe you want more than we're showing here, maybe you want less, and we would configure it exactly as you wanted to see it. It's also, you know, two different clients with the same document could have two totally different sets of fields. So it's very, very bespoke as to what people actually want to see coming off their documents. So you just tick through, we won't go through all of them, and just keep saying they're correct, they're correct, they're correct. Now you'll notice this identifier here, this CDS ID. This obviously is an internal identifier. It wouldn't be anywhere on the document, but it's super important for any kind of mapping that you can append some investment ID to the document. Because if you just try to use a fund name or a series name or whatever the entity may be, you know, you can have lots of problems with differences in punctuation, differences in spelling. One says limited, one says LTD. It's not a very good way to do it. So we do have the ability to, based off any piece of information we extract from the document, to generate one or many investment IDs, append them to the document, and that way you're mapping your data from your document to the correct investment, whatever the downstream system may be. So you would tick through these and say they're all correct. Now, obviously, the whole underpinning of this is that AI tools are not perfect. So if I felt that the AI tool had got something wrong, I can just remove the data and override it and put in my own data. And that will obviously send a feedback loop back to the tool to let it know that it's been incorrect. And also, if, you know, usually the tool is the maker and I'm the checker. If I become the maker, somebody else has to become the checker. There can never be a time where someone makes a manual change to the data and it's not checked by another individual. The other part, I think, which is kind of relevant for us to see as well, is just the concept of escalating a document. So we want people to be able to go through their daily workflow in a kind of in an efficient way. We don't want someone, if it's their first day or they're seeing a document they've never seen before, to be stuck and not be able to verify the data. So for some reason, I can't verify the data on the document. What I can do is I can escalate it to one of my supervisors. So we would automatically get suggested here any of the fields that I haven't ticked as correct. So we'll just pick one, we say custodian, we put a comment. This would just give context to a supervisor. And this allows for kind of, for training, you know, for continually getting the same comment of custodian, we would know that this is an issue and we need to train up our people. So we'll say, and find, and then we get the option, we could add another if we had other issues. And then we can assign it to a supervisor or a team of supervisors, hit our escalate button, and that way I can continue through in my workflow. And then very simply, we would just keep ticking through the various fields, right? They're all correct. We get to the end, we hit our save and get next, and that brings us straight through to the next document in our queue. So there's no need for the analyst to be going back out to the queue, opening up the document again. They just keep going straight through their work queue, and hopefully, you know, through their shift, they get everything done. So I think that's probably a pretty good just overview of how that human loop verification works, how we're getting the data in from the AI tool, and, you know, how we're making sure that AI tool is correct, and kind of the feedback loop where if something is wrong or incomplete, we're letting the tool know, and we can update the training on the document. So next time that document comes through, we're getting the correct data through. Simran, is there anything else you would like me to cover, or is that okay?
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Josie, could we toggle back to the slides, please? Well, I hope that helped with conceptualizing what the product is. The reason we want to show the validation module is twofold. The technology powering this is used to be NLP, which is a form of AI. We are now experimenting with large language models. So ChatGPT is based off of large language models. So the point to make there is AI is not sentient yet. Hopefully it never gets sentient because that's where the problem will start. But you do need the human verification to make sure that the data is 100% accurate. We are an asset servicer, so certainly we need 100% accuracy for the work we do. And certainly if you're supplying data to our clients, we want to be able to produce very accurate data.
So what kind of volumes of data do you guys handle? And is all of your data like cloud-based, or maybe you can talk about like some of the architecture behind all this stuff? And how many clients are you servicing with this product?
Yeah, so we do service fund-to-fund clients currently. So not only for this product, which is more client-facing document management, we have our own use case in terms of how do we make our own systems more resilient. So what we call the fund-to-fund pricing system, which is old school. You get a transaction, you get a pricing document coming in for a fund investment, you're extracting data out. So we generally go through 5,000 documents per month for our own use case. These are documents we're ingesting and we're extracting data off of. With the onset of CDI and turning that on, and just using the AI technology, what we've seen is we've reduced the time from our own FTEs by 2/3.
And are these all the same types of documents, or like PDF files, or are they a combination of PDFs, spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations? Maybe you can talk about that.
So you're right. It's multiple formats. Predominantly, it is PDF. So I'm sure if you're allocating into funds, you may realize you're getting a lot of your statements in a PDF format. In some cases, you may get an Excel file. So you do need to be able to read some other formats as well. Our technology predominantly works for PDFs. The other formats are few and far between. And this is where the human in the loop can come in and champion it. But I think that's a good segue into the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about the value proposition. We'll answer some of your questions. Josie, could we toggle forward? Next slide. Perfect. So Margie, to answer your question, it is a SaaS-based product, so it does scale. The vision behind it, and in fact, when we first started it, was not only we want to solve our own pain points, we want to solve pain points for our clients in the fund-to-fund allocator model, but maybe there's another fund admin who wants to be a client of ours as well. So let's build a SaaS product so it can scale, and it's not just for our own use case.
Do you determine the workflow, or are there tool sets for the end user to determine the workflow?
We determine the workflow. So the way this product is based, it's a combination of, as I said, human in the loop is still needed and will be needed for the foreseeable future, I would say. So it is a combination of talent and technology. So our service is a managed service, even though it's built off of a SaaS product, unlike the competitors that you may see on the market that are just giving you a license, software as a subscription where you operate it, you bring your own people. We take full accountability where if there's a format that the tool cannot read, the human will be able to pick it up. Because you will find instances where an email has all the data, and you can certainly PDF an email as well. And the technology allows you to do that. And just to run through some of the differentiators, what sets us apart from our competition is I would say, the subject matter expertise. You'll realize there is expertise needed to read these documents. A side letter, it's cumbersome to read. LPA, they're so difficult to read if you're trying to do liquidity of your portfolio. Those documents are hairy. We have the subject matter expertise given we service all types of clients. We got private credit, we got private equity, and of course, hedge funds. Data transparency, which is richer and richer data set. One thing you'll realize, there's no harmonization in taxonomy. So you're getting an investor statement from one manager, it'll be very different from an investor statement from another manager. So how do you make sure the data that you're getting out of these documents is comparable? You need some level of standardization. And then I did not want to put AI driven right in the topic header because I do feel AI is overused and there's a lot of AI washing that happens. And from a client perspective, I think you care about a robust solution. How it's powered is important. It is an AI driven solution, but I don't think I want to lead with that. And then it is a systems-based solution end to end. So we have RPAs that will support the document capture, the email capture. There is a doc services product that will automatically convert and save everything. So these are systems communicating. The only validation piece is human-based. And then, of course, it scales, right? Technology allows that for us to happen. Going back to the managed service point, this is the main value proposition we have. We will make sure if there's a document that is cumbersome to read, the humans, the subject matter experts can do that. And then lastly, it's a comprehensive platform. What I mean by that is we do all document types. We are not just a solution for private markets, for PCAPs. We can read hedge fund statements, we can read your invoices.
And can people crawl the documents and like, is there an API to this product?
Absolutely.
And then you can just pull up documents and then do some kind of stuff where I'm doing keyword search and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Josie, if you could toggle back a couple slides. So the use case, the case study I shared was from a sophisticated client where they have an in-house team and they want to bring in the documents through API. So given the different personas we service, we realize the sophisticated, the big allocators are very comfortable APIing the metadata and the document into their own environment. But some of the smaller fund-to-fund clients prefer the more traditional methods of give me a UI, I want you to be responsible for storage, or ship the documents to a Dropbox, given we did talk about Dropbox today as well. But you're right, we do have capabilities. In fact, that was the MVP, which is API, the metadata, the data, and the document.
Great.
Josie, I'm going to ask you to toggle to the service level slides. We can just touch on the next one. Yeah, perfect. So in terms of the services we offer, we feel the most appealing service for the allocator audience is the indexed library of documents, which is where we will support you in doing the document capture. We will extract the basic data points that one needs, which is everything has to be appended or correlated to a unique identifier. So if you're investing with Bain Capital, making it up certain fund for, what does that mean in your own database? So we will give you your unique identifier for it. We'll index the document and we'll give you the document in the format you want, be it API to programmatically bring the document in, or you can use our folder UI structure. Building on that, the next service is the accounting information. So if you are looking for us to give you the data set that you need to bring into your own accounting system to do the accounting work, these are the valuations, and also, of course, the transactions, the cap calls, the subs, the reds. Building on that further is service level 3, which is the ask of give me a richer data set. So beyond the accounting information, you want all the fees, you want to decouple all the information that you have, decomposed information into your accounting system. So this is what we are calling, we'll give you the standardized insights more than just the accounting set that you need. And the last one, this is more for our clients that are looking for us to amalgamate multiple data sets for them. So some of the asks we've seen is, I want the data off of my document. I want you to marry this data set to another data set for me and then give me a report, which certainly we can do. We have other products called data services in-house, which will enable us to do that. I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Also very open to feedback. We have made an assertion that this product will resonate with family offices as well, especially if they're allocating into fund investments.
So since it's a SaaS product, do you charge on utilization or storage or?
Yeah. So for document indexation, we charge per POP. So it's per document fee. So depending on how many documents we get, there's a flat fee, which is a base fee for the product. And then we'll add on depending on the volume that we get.
And for API usage, you charge on?
That's baked into the base fee. So there's no additional variable charge. The variable charge is just driven by the volume of documents we get. Okay. Well, hopefully this alleviates the paper trail, the pervasive paper problem in privates, and documents are still a big problem in the financial services space.
Well, fantastic. And it's very informative and you guys are really up to date with the product set. I mean, a lot of people have lagged behind and I think the laggards won't survive, right? So.
And to that point, I would say there is something to be said about the large language model as well. So some of our competitors who started 10 years ago have been using sort of the early methods in AI. So maybe something to be said for the second mover's advantage, where the newer AI tech is so much faster, so much more accurate, and adoptability and training patterns is a lot easier as well.
It's phenomenal. I will tell you that I use a lot of AI when I read legal documents. I just take every legal document I get, throw it into AI and say, what's the difference? It's just too much to read,
Yeah,
right?
such a good co-pilot.
Yeah, it's fantastic, right? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty.